Hey friends, hey friends, hey friends. This is Coach RoseAj coming to holla at y'all, Carnivore Girl for Life. I have a great friend here. Her name is Mairwynn. She's going to share her story with us today. As y'all know, I like to have stories every Thursday. And me and Miss Maya, when we were able to connect like literally in 72 hours to make this interview happen. And she can be found at the Carnivore Odyssey on YouTube. And folks, I need y'all to go over there and give her a like, subscribe, follow, and listen to some of her content. She is the real deal. And as I shared with her, I just came in from walking my dog, using the bathroom, signing on, running my mouth, and there was a car alarm going off. And we're like, why couldn't that have happened like 6 hours ago instead of right now? But I'm just going to turn it over to Miss Mairwynn from the Carnivore Odyssey and let her take it away. I'm going to mute myself, my dear.
Hi, everybody. As you know, my name is Mairwynn. I'm from the Carnivore Odyssey. I am a 56-year-old mother of two sons. One is 21 at the beginning of June. The one has already turned 16. I was born in England in 1967 and came out to Australia when I was about 13 years old. What brought me out here was basically my mother's career. She was an opera singer, and that was quite the unique childhood to have. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill, go to the park every day kind of deal. My park was the backstage of opera houses. So yeah, it was quite unique, and I consider myself an extremely lucky girl to have had an upbringing like that. So yeah, my mother, look, I've only been on carnivore for 3 months, but it became very clear to me very early on what this lifestyle would have done for my mother and my father. But you know, my mother, who was a person who struggled with her weight for a good deal of her life. But you know, it is what it is. There has to be some acceptance in that at some point, you know. But I know she'd be happy that I've done something about it. But travel, that kind of exposed you to an awful lot of different sort of culinary delights. Let's put it that way. Culinary delights. There's just, yeah, you know, when you hit the ground running in the United States and you see things like Twinkies, yum. I mean, you disregard the fact that they've got a shelf life of about 5,000 years, but they just taste so darn good. But it, you know, you get things like that, Oreos, the peanut butter. I'm sorry, but no one in the world can touch the peanut butter recipe of the United States. I'm sorry. Even now I can say that. I can say that. So you get exposed to all these different foods in foreign countries, and that definitely does something to the brain. It does something to the palate for sure. I wasn't always a big girl. Like when I was considerably younger, I do have photographs. I wasn't big, but there was a point where I just went, I just ballooned. I ballooned. And there seems to be a sort of correlation between that and when my mother's career took off overseas. Now, that's not to say I was not neglected. I was loved.
So can I ask, do you remember about what age you were when your weight kind of ballooned?
I probably would have been around about 6, 7, about 6 or 7.
So fairly young then.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
It's been a battle for 50 years. Hi.
I love your sense of humor. Oh my gosh. Beautiful.
It's been a battle for 50 years. That's oh, yeah, that's quite a battle. That's quite a battle. So yeah, so that's when the weight sort of piled on. And as my mother's career got more busy, it was decided to put me into a boarding school in England because I needed to get an education. And not every educational system will say, oh, yes, traveling geographically is an education within itself. They're not going to buy it. So, in order to learn how to add and spell and read, boarding school it was. So, that had its own challenges. I was always on a diet, and it was very calorie restrictive. Like, oh, um, I don't know if you can get these. There's a crisp bread you can get here in Australia and in England. They're called Ryvita. They're a crisp bread, like a cracker kind of deal, but like a rye sort of cracker. Basically, what they've done is they've manufactured the box for the packaging, and they found extra cardboard and put spices and stuff on it and put it inside the. I can't even look at Ryvitas even to this day. I can't look at them. So,
Now,
um,
was your dieting self-induced, or was it by the boarding school? Was it by your
oh, it was by, oh,
doctors?
it was by the doctor, and the boarding school followed, and it was run by, in those days, it was run by nuns, and they they really know how to be cruel to be kind. They've got it down pat, and it's they know how to love, and they really know how to make it darn difficult for you if it's going to benefit you, because it's all about here and here. But it was very calorie restrictive. Eventually, they put me on appetite suppressants. So, yeah, stand by. Buckle up, Buttercup. You're in for a bumpy ride. Okay, so let me talk about those things. They were called Ponderax Paycaps, and I wasn't on them for very long. I was on them long enough. Did they work? Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think anything of it when they were prescribed to me at the school. Um, I took it, did as I was told, and I figured that mum and dad already knew about it, you know. Yeah, you know where this is going, don't you? They didn't know. So I go home one weekend. My mother was in the country. I go home for one of those rare weekends. And of course, I go with my medication. And mum sees me taking this. What are you taking? I'm like, oh, these are the tablets that they've put me. She went, the what now? So she said, give me those. And she snatched them out of my hand. And she said, what are they? I explained to her. And she said, right, well, I'll take one of these. So she took one. What they did to her mood. Way to see how different medications can affect different people. Oh my gosh. It was just within about 10 minutes, we had Lady Macbeth in the house. It was vile what it did to her mood. But to me, it didn't do anything to the mood. But to mum, hey. So from that, a letter was written to the headmistress, a quite cutting letter, as only mother could. And the next thing I knew, I was taken off them. So that's all right. Then years down the track, when I came out here to Australia, I thought, well, try them again. kind of deal, because I'd been on them, I knew of them, right? And I actually found out, so I went on them for about a year. It was about a year. But it wasn't until after my mother passed away in 2001 that I noticed a news article that they've taken the Ponderax pay caps off the market because they're known to cause heart defects. Yeah.
So it sounds like you really dodged a bullet.
Oh,
Or did they
yeah.
affect you in a way? No, they didn't.
Touch wood, as I always say,
Yeah.
touch wood. I dodged a bullet, definitely dodged a bullet.
So what would that be equivalent to? What were the ingredients? Were they stimulants? Um,
I can't remember. I would have to look that up. But by all accounts, they ain't great.
well,
I
you
mean,
know,
I've looked up the ingredients of all the medications that I'm not taking now because, yeah, two prescription medications that I got rid of early on, and the other one I got rid of in the last week, and various others, of course. But I'm almost too scared to look up the ingredients of the Ponderax. I really am, because I think, I think that would frighten the living daylights out of me, to be completely honest. It really would. So
so it's kind of like leave well enough alone.
yeah, I think we should just let
Yeah.
that bear sleep. Let's not poke it, because yeah, it could come out clawing at me, and I don't think I want that. Right? I mean, I may one day, but I just don't think I want it clawing at me just yet. Because it's not like I can do anything about it. If I find out that these things are bad, like really, really bad, it's not like I can call the school that I was at and say, "Oh, I'm going to sue you." What's the point? What's the point? So yeah. Oh boy. So I'm getting over. Well, I thought it was a cold, but isn't. But I can talk about that later. That's a positive carnivore thing. So anyway, so yeah, the weight for a good part of my life has been like this, up and down, up and down. Let me see, the plethora of diets I have tried. Oh, okay. Comment below if you've had a go at the cabbage diet, Scarsdale diet. Who remembers that one? Who can't look at a grapefruit again? Me.
You know,
Oh,
the thing about the grapefruit diet for me is I put tons of sugar on it just to make it palatable.
oh, I know. I know. And so now we know what that does. It's like, oi. So, I mean, there's various, I've done my own calorie reduction thing. Um, Things started to change. Oh, let me see. It was after I had my second son. And there is a chemist line out here called Terry White Chem Mart. And they have in their chemists, they have like their sponsored sort of low calorie diety shake things. But one of the things they had back in the day, so about 16 years ago, was the Tony Ferguson diet. Right now, that was my first introduction into what reducing the carbohydrates could do. And it also taught me to read the labels on food, like, so many carbs per 100 grams or 100 mils. So it was an education. Now, when I started that, I was about 175 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds, pardon me. I lost about 60 kilos on that. However, there's always a however. I firmly believe I didn't take enough photographs of myself as I do now. I take a lot of photographs every week. I looked in the mirror one day and I went, who the heck is that? And it frightened the living daylights out of me. I headed for the hills. Psychologically, I just was not ready for that. Nowhere near ready for it. So as you would expect, over the years, all that 60 kilos piled back on again. And then a little while after that, I found out about the ketogenic diet. And, you know, my first introduction to keto flu. What joy, what joy. I enjoyed that because my whole mantra was, who doesn't want cheesecake for breakfast?
Oh my
Am
word.
I right? Am I right? Who doesn't want to eat cheesecake for breakfast? Ketogenic wise, completely legal as long as you make it with your almond meal at the bottom or, you know, cream cheese. It's fine. Again, lost a lot of weight, but for whatever reason, it just piled back on. So here we are to about 10 years ago. I had a nasty fall. And I hit the back of my head. Did not give myself a concussion, but it was an awkward fall. I fell sort of backwards. And basically that put me on using a walking stick, one of these puppies. And the back went kaplooey and the weight piled on. And as the weight got more and more, it went past that 175 when I was on Tony Ferguson. And the mobility, I was basically living sitting on a couch in the garage all day because I couldn't move. I could move. There was a point I used to go up the stairs to go to bed. Eventually, I slept in the garage because getting up the stairs was fine. Piece of cake, it was fine. I developed a very strong and I think valid fear of coming down the stairs. 1 foot wrong, that's me done for. And I was worried that I was going to break my darn neck. So I eventually slept in the garage. So, yeah.
So a garage is where you store your car? Is that the
Yeah.
garage you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, so why the garage versus
The lounge room or anywhere else downstairs, I couldn't tell you. I
so did
don't know.
so did you make a room for yourself, is what I'm hearing
No,
you say, in the garage?
no. There was you'd walk in the garage, and on the left-hand side was the chest freezer. In the corner next to that was a couch, and that was it. I had my computer table there, and that's where I lived.
How long did you live or, stay in the garage then?
I would say full time in the garage. I'd come out to go to the loo, obviously, and maybe have a shower. But I'd say full time sleeping in there as well. We're talking a good 6-7 years at least.
Mm.
At least.
So let me ask you, why did you stay in the garage for so long? And when you decided to come out of the garage, what was it that propelled you to come out of the garage?
Well, I don't know what. I suppose it was like a safe cocoon because I eventually just didn't want to go out, whether I could or not. I did not want to go out. I just felt vile. I felt just, you got to bear in mind being this big well, not this big, but being overweight. I guess when I was in the garage, if I could pinpoint any one thing about going out, was concerned. It was just that I'd reached a point where I'm sick of the sideways looks. I'm sick of the regular comments of, geez, look at that big fat thing. I just didn't want to hear it anymore. I just didn't feel like I was capable of actually handling it anymore. I'd had enough. I'd had enough. So rather than deal with it, I hid away from it. As for what propelled me out of there, we moved from Sydney to Brisbane. And my husband was experiencing all around about that COVID at time. And my husband was worried about his then job. And he said, I'm really worried. He said, because I'm the last one in. He said, I'm going to be the first one out, right? And I said, right. I said, here it is. And this is how it is. I don't want you to worry about that. I said, if we have got to move to Brisbane to get ahead of this, then that's what we're going to do. But you are not going to sit there and worry about the breadwinner type of thing. I said, no, we are not doing that. Because when my mother died, she left me the house, and I've always been able to right, we've got a roof over our heads. And I said to my husband, no, you are not going down that road of guilt for yourself. No, no. So that's what got me out of the garage. It was the move up here. And now, instead of being in the garage all day, I sit outside all day.
Wow, what
So
a
at least I'm
big
in fresh
difference
air.
in sunlight.
Yep, yep,
That is amazing.
yep.
Yeah. So continue on. I don't want to keep interrupting. Sorry.
No, you're all good, darling. You're all good. So about 18 months ago, a friend of mine came up here who I hadn't seen for a number of years. And he's the type of friend that will risk a friendship in order to save them. Yep. Adrian is one of those. Yeah. So he had a little chat with me about things, and he was kind of, long story short, he said, what are you doing for you? What are you doing for yourself? Because simply put, what he's, I mean, I can say this now, okay? And this may be shocking, so brace yourself, buckle up. I was basically sitting here waiting to die. Cold hard facts. That's what a rock bottom is. That's what it was for me. I needed somebody to come in and say, yeah, you are actually just sitting there waiting to die. It turned out from that, little bit of a backtrack, my father, may he also rest in peace, made a promise to my mother's parents that he was going to record everything that she sang. And he did. And I've got all the audio cassettes to prove it. There's audio cassettes, there's video cassettes, there's programs, there's photographs, write-ups. Good 5 years worth of work, folks. But after Adrian's trip here and, you know, giving me a telling, I embarked on a YouTube channel for my mother with a view to saving her recordings and, you know, keeping her relevant in the operatic world. So there was about a year of that. And in the meantime, Adrian and I had spoken, and, you know, because he was a great support to me, because if you can imagine, when she died, I actually had to stop listening to her sing. I couldn't. It was too painful. It was too painful. So here I was embarking upon quite possibly the biggest dose of exposure therapy you could get your hands on, like huge. So Adrian was there every step of the way to see me through it. Now I've got the skills to be able to, if it comes across, I sometimes get something that surprises me. I deal with it, and then I face it again and again and again. It's not that it deadens the feeling, it just enables me to actually deal with those emotions and then enjoy it, basically. And anyway, in one of our many, many, many conversations, he mentioned a friend that was a carnivore. And I'm like, the man just eats meat? I went, yeah. Really? And he sort of explained a few things to me at the time. And I remember going away from that first call thinking about that, thinking, that's insane. He's just eating meat. What about all the vegetables and the nutrients that you get from veggies and fruit and stuff and things? What, man's insane. And then nothing of it. And then it was, Adrian came back up here in December last year, early December last year, for some opera performances up here. And again, he mentioned it. I said, are you sure that this man is only eating meat? All
I
the
know
while,
you were thinking like, what the dickens?
I
How
mean, is
is
the
this
man
possible?
mad? I seriously, I really did think that. I'm like, how can you survive with just eating meat? It was just completely insane. To me, it was at the time. But previous to that, I'd already had a conversation with my husband, I'd say maybe about 2 months before, discussing possibility of having lap band surgery or gastric sleeve, right? I had, say September, October last year, I had reached my point where it's like, I can't cope with this anymore, please. So I had that discussion and I said, look, it's possible that we're going to have to go down the lap band surgery or gastric sleeve route. And my husband, bless his heart, he said, whatever we need to do to help you, that's what we're going to do. End of story. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. And so then we cut to having the other conversation with Adrian up here in the December. So when he left and he'd seen all his operatic performances up here, sat down here one day in front of YouTube, I typed in one word, carnivore. Up came all this information. And at the time, it was like, ever been in a car wash? And you've got all those things up your front, all in my face. It was all up my grill going, yep, this is where you are. This is where you are. I found Dr. Ken Berry. I found Dr. Anthony Chafee. I found Dr. Sean Baker. Then I started to find all these other people. I'm like, what? So, when you're new coming into this and they suddenly tell you your doctors are probably lying to you and here's why, it kind of throws you for a loop a bit. But as you get deeper, you realize exactly how much sense it really makes. And it's like, wow, okay. The tipping point for me, I spent maybe about 10 solid days sifting through carnivore stuff, right? And I then came across Amanda at Carnivore. And it wasn't the weight loss. It was the fact that she had the same leg pain as me. it was the pain, kindred spirit type of deal. And how she was, yes, it was great to see people losing the weight, yes. But for me, it became very clear very quickly exactly why one would want to be a carnivore. That weight loss in the inches is a side effect. It's a joyous side effect, but a side effect nonetheless. It is a health thing. It's to get your body right. I did not expect this to get as right as it has. The fog, ooh, when that lifts, that is quite literally like front of house curtain in a theater lifting up, going, hello, and here's the show. It's like, it's really, really something. It's like having foggy eyesight, and then suddenly you can see things around you properly. The mental health. I think I said in another interview, who could have thought that I would be putting up with even less BS now than I did? But I can confirm my tolerance for BS is even less. It's like, I've like, nah, can't be coping.
So if I were to ask you right now, 3 months in, where you're at, what the most beneficial aspect of going on the carnivore diet was for you, but the unexpected benefit, non-scale
It's
victory.
it's the mental health. Oh my
And
gosh.
that's what I was going to say. I honestly think for me, because I've had mental health issues, but I've never sought help. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yep.
That was the most beneficial. I mean, there's the bells and whistles, like you mentioned, the weight loss, appetite correction, other things that go along with it.
Yep.
But the mental health, the clarity, the brain fog, the
Oh
peace
yeah.
of mind is like, I would I would be okay if that were the only benefit from the carnivore diet.
Yeah. Because from a mental health point of view, yeah, I would probably be the same, because if your mind is right, the rest is going to follow. It just so happened that I started the other way around. But it just, yeah, that this is how it's playing out. Once the mind's right, the body will follow. So yeah.
So you were saying that your friend had introduced you or mentioned it in passing on an initial visit last year, and then he came and told you about the carnivore diet again, and you did the 10-day search and you sought out Dr. Berry among some other people. So
Yeah.
did after 10 days, did you get started on the carnivore way of
Well,
life?
it was when I saw Amanda from Carnivorous Me, that was the defining moment that made me go, carnivore it is. End of story. Carnivore it is. So from that, I knew I was starting January 1st. That was my start date. And in the meantime, I let my husband know. He thought I was just a little bit cuckoo, but hey, there's a ring on it. So, too bad. Um, yeah, I'm that kind of wife. But, he respected my decision, completely respected it. I went in, I said, okay, well, look, I need to do right by me here. And I think it would be best if I don't mind cooking for people, but I'm not cooking what I can't have. Because I fell for that lark when I was on the ketogenic diet, sent myself berserk cooking 2 separate meals. And I said, I'm just not doing that this time. I said, if I cook, it's going to be meat. I said, if it be a roast of some kind, that's what I'm cooking. Too bad. If you guys want something else, you can cook it. If you want taters, you can cook it. If you want rice, you can cook it. If you want pasta, You can cook. I ain't cooking anything I cannot have. So don't ask me for breakfast in bed because you ain't getting toast.
You go,
So
girl.
I just had to. Seriously, how many of us have tried to change our lifestyle, our dietary lifestyle, and have been faced with cooking 2 or 3 different kinds of meals? How many of us have fallen for that? Don't fall for it. It's a trap. It is a trap.
It's the
It's a
setup
trap.
for failure, because especially if
Oh,
you're starting a new dietary protocol, whatever you choose to do, whether it's vegan, you know, carnivore, ketovore, whatever you're doing,
yep.
the beginning, the first 6, 8, 3 months, whatever it is, it's very precious time, right? You can
Oh,
fall
yeah.
off the wagon again and again and again just by
Oh, yeah.
having the foods in your eyesight, let alone preparing them. So you did right by yourself, setting yourself up for success. I'm
Had
proud
to.
of you, girl.
And and I had to. It's like it's the one time where I have given myself permission to put the blinkers on. Do it. Yesterday, Easter Sunday. Chocolate's always involved on Easter Sunday. I said, I don't care. I understand you guys are going to have chocolate eggs. I don't want to see them. I choose when I want to see or look. Like about a week ago, my youngest son came out here with a coffee for me. He was eating an apple. I said, oh, can I smell the apple? I choose when I want to expose myself to the stuff I'm probably not going to eat for the rest of my life. I just that it's I'm in a point where, you know, the old saying, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Yeah, I'm kind of there right now because I'm like, vegetables, like my eldest did actually mow the lawn yesterday. And, you know, they say, oh, the best smell in the world is when the heavens open up and rain down on a freshly cut lawn. Yeah, I've got a very different kind of idea of what that smell is of cut lawn is now. Well, I'm not saying this is true, not a scientist, not a doctor, not a pro,
Oh,
but
come
if
on
you,
now.
no, God, I'm so not. But if you take into consideration what Dr. Chafee says about oxalates and that it's the mechanism that the plant uses to protect them from being eaten or touched by anything or anyone. I don't know, but that cut lawn smelled a lot different yesterday. Who wants to I'm gonna research that. I wonder if grass, if that smell is partially, you don't know. I don't know, but it smelled really different to me yesterday. I usually
Okay.
enjoy that smell,
So
but
are
yeah,
you saying that you didn't enjoy it then?
or I did not enjoy the smell of a cut
Okay.
lawn at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Not at all.
So
Didn't
when
like
you
it.
research it, I'll be looking out for your video about that.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that because there has to be something in that. Because if there's an oxalate thing happening, it's like, yeah, because yeah, that smell that just was not good, not to me, not to me. So yeah, the whole vegetables thing. Oh, let's put it this way: if either Dr. Chafee or Dr. Berry or Sean Baker said, okay, look, you all need to eat 1 floret of broccoli per day. Let's say they said that, right? You got to at least have something like that once a day. Would I do it? I probably would, but oh boy, I'd be crying my eyes out as I did it. I'd just sit there crying. I just don't, I can't at the moment see a time where I'm going to put those things into my mouth again.
So
I
you're
just,
not going to put them into your mouth again because you understand the damage and the harm that they can do to you, or is it because you don't like them anymore, or you never liked them and you thought you should
worried
eat
about,
them?
yeah, I'm worried about the damage, the inflammation, I'm just worried about the pain. And I mean, who's to say later on down the track when I have achieved the goal weight and I'm still keep going, I may want to reintroduce some foods again. That will be a fun experiment, but I have a very funny feeling there's going to be very little put back in the diet.
I have to ask you, so have you been strict carnivore since day one? Or have you, kind of had a little bit of time off here and there, or just straight carnivore so far?
I have not cheated
Mhm.
once in 3 months, not
That's
once.
impressive. Yes.
I, on day one, I even got rid of like Pepsi Max, those kind of sugary drinks. I got rid of the I don't know if you have Equal over there, but I know that you guys have those little pink packets of sweet and low. I got rid of those sweeteners. I have monk fruit. I literally gave up absolutely everything except for one thing, and that's coffee with cream. And in the last week, I've been adding butter to it, and I've been lessening the cream. Um, I've also felt that my body is stabilizing where, oh, because when you start, those trips to the bathroom are rather interesting. Come on, we've all been
Interest.
there. Oh, we've all
Been
been
there.
there. Whee! But now, after about 3 months, I feel like my body has stabilized a bit because I'm actually craving more fat. So I'm like, okay, let's increase the fat. So, the first thing I have when I get up in the morning is I have a little knob of salted butter and I just let that melt on my tongue. And there's something very satisfying about that when you get through the coldness of the butter and you hit maybe the salt, the brain just goes ding. It's quite remarkable. Don't remember feeling that when I used to have a candy or a teaspoon of peanut butter, but I get it with the butter. I don't understand. But yeah, I've been adding unsalted butter to my coffee. I am reducing the strength of my coffee. Um, and that I'm mindful of the fact that things might be just a little bit better if I do give up the coffee. I'm mindful of that. But right now, I need that just to get me through. I honestly believe that I'll probably ditch it in the future. I
I
probably will.
I hear you on the coffee note. I have been a coffee connoisseur probably since my late 20s, early 30s.
Yep.
And it's a must-have in my daily regimen, and it's black coffee for me. And I've quit it for like 60 days at a time, 30 days at a time, but I always go back to it. So it's good that you think you're going to give up coffee and that you're tapering down because it's a beautiful thing if you choose to
Yeah.
give it up. Yeah.
And apart from that, the only other things that I drink are maybe some mineral water. And I might drink these.
Oh, the
I don't know if you,
bubblies.
the
Sure.
bubblies. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Carbonated water. Yeah.
it's just basically that's it, or just still water. I'm going to be making my own electrolytes because I'm not spending a small fortune on prepackaged ones, which is
Yes.
it just costs too much. It's cheaper to buy the electrolytes in bulk and make it yourself. So my husband and I are going to play chemist this week, and we're going to do that. Um, Let me see. Yeah, because I want to finish taking the magnesium that I take at night, it's not enough for a start.
Mm.
But if I stop taking it, I'll basically be able to have a football match in bed on my own because of the restless legs. They're all over the place. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I know that I need magnesium. I know that I need potassium. I'm pretty good with salting my my food. So I'll probably half the salt in the recipe because my husband and I are pretty good with loads of salt. Like I've got my pink Himalayan salt.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's been 3 months. I
So
just
what does a typical day of eating look like for you? You mentioned that you started off with your pats of butter or a pat of butter in your coffee and
well,
whatnot. What does your day typically entail as far as eating?
initially when I started, I had sort of like a breakfast, like, bacon and eggs, and then I'd have a dinner, a bit steak or something like that. But in that first week, I was very aware that yeah, this breakfast thing is going to get old real fast. But then I had to think about that. Is it getting old because I'm lazy? Is that whole idea of having 2 meals because I'm lazy, or am I not hungry? So out of 8 weeks, I've been 1 meal a day for 7 weeks. I might have 2 cups of coffee during the day. I drink my water, 1 meal a day. Last night, for example, it was a porterhouse steak with 3 fried eggs. That's it. That is it. I am
Nice.
genuinely not hungry. But having said that, disclaimer, folks, my activity level is very low. I am completely expecting that to change when my activity level increases.
It's funny you should say your activity level and the amount of food or the amount of times that you think you'll probably be eating. I have to say that when I started this in December of 2018, I started intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet simultaneously on December
Yep.
2nd. And I did everything wrong, right? Everything wrong under the sun. So I'm a binger, I'm a compulsive overeater, I'm an emotional eater. You just name it. That was me,
Okay.
right? Addicted
Yeah.
to
Me
everything
neither.
under the sun.
Yep.
But what I found out very quickly was that I was still obsessing about food. So as soon as I had my first meal, which was supposedly breakfast, while I was still eating, I was thinking about lunch, I was thinking about dinner. So that pattern of eating or that thought process didn't stop with the intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet. As a matter of fact, it kind of exploded. But within a couple of weeks, I went straight to OMAD because I'm a volume eater.
Yep.
And that settled me down right then and there. So I've been
Yep.
OMAD ever since, but it's through experimentation. So you may go to your 2 or 3 meals a day for a while as your activity increases, but you might be surprised. You just might eat a little bit more at your 1 meal a day.
At the 1 meal. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Look, hey, I mean, like, you're not going to get more simpler than this. I mean, they go, oh my gosh, carnivore is going to cost you so much money. All that meat's going to cost you a fortune. When you're eating once a day, no, not really. Not really. Initially, it might, but as it goes by, you're hang on a minute. Because if you think about it, okay, if you fill your trolley with meat, say like enough to last you a month, for example, all right, most of that would go in the freezer, right? How often do you have to replenish fruit and vegetables to keep it in the fridge?
Quite routinely, quite regularly.
How often do you have to keep replenishing things like rice, pasta, potatoes, bread? How often do you have to replace the jar of peanut butter? How often do you have to replace the jar of jam or jelly, as you guys call it there? How often are you replenishing the snack cupboard with Oreos, Twinkies, Lay's chips, and all of the other things? If you actually added up your receipts for a month's worth of regular shopping against a month's worth of meat, I'd safely bet that you're spending more on rubbish than you would on meat.
I
So,
couldn't
yeah,
agree with you more on that.
yeah.
Yeah. So I have heard you mention peanut butter a couple of times. So is there a food that you wholeheartedly miss?
Yeah, peanut butter.
Okay, it's peanut
I
butter.
do miss
Oh,
peanut butter. Am I
okay.
going to eat it? Heck no.
Okay.
But you know what? I haven't in 3 months stuck my nose in the jar to smell it. It's coming. I can find there's going to be a time when I wake up in the morning and I'm making my coffee. I'm just going to slide by and just go, right, let's have a smell. Yeah, I'm done. That's it.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
peanut butter is something you miss the most, huh? Is there
I
anything
do.
else that you miss the most?
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, there is one dish. Again, would I eat it? No. Do I miss it? Yes. And that's my husband's spaghetti bolognese. He makes a mean spaghetti bolognese. Yeah, that would be if there was a savory meal that I miss, it would be that. Definitely, I miss that. Would I eat it? No. But it's not to say that, when I get to my goal, wait, just bear with me here. When I get to my goal and I'm sort of like well into maintenance, let's say ketogenic or a ketovore is how I maintain my weight. There's nothing to stop me maybe trying the spaghetti bolognese sauce. Get no pasta, but will there be anything in that will cause inflammation in me in that time?
You
And that's
know,
going to be a journey and a half.
everything really is by trial and error. It
Yep.
really is. And we're all an experiment of one. So I can tell you that because of my binging disorder, compulsive overeating, even though I went carnivore in 2020, January 1, in
Mm,
2020, I did 4 months. I was stellar. Then I took off. It was probably Easter holiday, yada, yada, yada. And then I went on a binge for like 3, 4 days. Then I would reel it back in, went on another binge, reel it back in. So I did that a series of 6 times in 2020, right? And
yep.
then I spent August to the end of the year staying carnivore because I realized that I had so much peace at the beginning of the year
Yeah.
when I didn't introduce those ketogenic foods and the prepackaged foods and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, what I did was is because I was listening to all the doctors, I was listening to every voice out there, and I did miss some things like the peanut butter and other things that were ketogenic if I kept it in the parameters. But when I started introducing foods like avocados, blueberries, instead of 5 blueberries, it was the whole pint of blueberries, right? Cashews, instead of a package of cashews, it was 12 packages in one sitting. So my addiction was taking back over. So by June of 2021, I just declared that I am carnivore for life. But it was through that experimentation that I went through
Yeah.
because had I not went there, I would have never known.
Yeah,
So that's what
exactly.
I'm hearing you say that once you're stable, you might try a few things and see what happens,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
And
going to have to. It's,
that's real life. Yeah.
yeah, it is real life. Um, yeah, it's amazing. All these things that I didn't think were possible that I can see actually being a possibility. Like, going to the opera again, because I miss that. I really miss that. Even overseas travel 2 years ago, and And I will get into the harsh reality of overseas travel on an aeroplane. I don't like traveling on an aeroplane. I don't mind it. Takeoff, landing doesn't worry me at all. The fact that it's going to take me a whole day in either direction to get anywhere exciting is irrelevant. Don't care. But the turbulence, I'm like, hey, no. And it's a control thing. I just want to be up the front flying the plane. If I was flying the plane, I'd be fine. But I don't have a pilot's license. However, let me get into the harsh reality of why I really don't want to fly right now. Okay. Let's put aside the fact that if I was going to go economy, I'd probably have to buy 2 seats. That's not the issue. The hard reality of flying overseas is the possibility that something might go awry. And if the plane goes down with my mobility, yeah, may as well just kiss it goodbye. I'm a goner. That's the harsh reality of that scenario. And it's always been in the back of my mind for as long as I can remember. Specifically the last 10 years, it's been right there. But to say it, it's all part of dealing with this whole exposure therapy. Honestly, I'll tell you, there's definitely there's a lot of merit in exposure therapy. I've done a lot of it in the last 18 months, a lot. And there's something to be said for having it right in your face to
So are
deal
you
with it.
seeing a therapist, if you don't mind me
Nope.
asking? Are you
Nope.
so have you ever sought therapy for anything? You don't have to give the specific
Oh, of course.
situations or
No,
anything, but
open book.
yeah. Have you
I'm
ever
not
sought
about,
therapy?
no, this is something I need to make clear. I am not interested in holding things back if people are going to ask me questions, because that I can't not be honest about it. So open book. No, I have not had therapy for myself. That's not to say I won't need it in the future. I'm open to it. But right now, because the mental health is better, I can think more clearer. I know this may sound a little arrogant. I can see what's wrong with everyone else. Like I said, I'm sorry if that sounds arrogant. But it's like I can, when the kids fight, I'm like, I sit here and go, okay, the problem you're coming to me with, that is not the problem. Let me tell you what the problem is. And then I get the looks. And they'll come out, they'll say something, and they're leading up to a grand finale statement. And then I actually say that statement before they've said it, because I know where they're going. I know what they're going to say. So, yeah, that's driving them a little bit nuts. They're like, Mom, stop finishing my set. Well, I already know what you're going to say. Drives my husband crazy too. But like I said, he's got a ring on it, so too bad.
There you go. So I was going to say that for a lot of us, I should actually say I was having a conversation with someone that was like underweight, not severely. She wasn't anorexic, but we were talking about our weight histories and how they manifest. So mine manifested on the outside, right? That I had an eating disorder
Yeah.
and I was constantly eating. Hers showed up in the opposite direction, looking a
Yep.
wee too thin. But I think that even though we have these disorders or disordered eating, whatever we want to say, control issues, whatever it is, they all stem from somewhere. And a lot of times people would say that we should seek help outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
But I always grew up thinking and hearing in the Black community that seeking help was, something that white people did. Black people, we don't do that. We just struggle through, we just handle it, yada, yada, yada. So that was a myth. It really was a myth. But this is what I did for self-help. I watched tons of talk shows, Phil Donahue, Oprah Winfrey, and I was a voracious reader since childhood. So I read a lot of self-help books. So bibliotherapy is the way that I chose to help myself. And I still do it that way. And I've never been medicated. However, that's not to say that medication at some point in my life would not have helped me. I don't know because I wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
But my medication is exercise, the proper human diet or the carnivore diet, and coffee, right? And continual learning. I need those things in my life every single day to keep me stable, right?
Yeah.
What about you? What are some of your foundational principles or things that you do, especially in the first 3, 4 months of this lifestyle? What are you finding that really helps you to stay grounded and focused and pressing forward?
Well, it's not to say that having a reason to change your life isn't, having an external reason isn't about it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but having been on the many diets that I have been on, it's more or less, it's always gone astray when I do it for someone else. If I'm trying to get into a dress for a wedding, want to get back into those skinny jeans. This time for me, the stakes are just a little bit higher because I am not doing it for my husband. I'm not doing it for my kids. I'm not doing it for YouTube clicks and views. I am doing this for me, no one else. And you have to understand within yourself, even if you don't realize it when you start, that you are enough, you are worth it. I don't care what anybody else has said to you. I'm not interested in that external noise. I'm interested in you as a person who is thinking about trying it, on the fence, or has just started. I'm interested in knowing how you are in that. Do you really know that you are enough, that you are worth more than you think, and you're definitely worth more than you think others think you are? Here we are. We get one go at this. I mean, it's like from the movie Parenthood. I don't know if anyone's seen Parenthood, where there's that scene with the grandma and she says, I think it's a round. Who wants to go on a roundabout? It just goes round and round and round. There's no fun in that. She says, I like the roller coaster. Up and down, up and down, up and down. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. And let's face it, I've had 10 years of boring. I want some fun. And when you can get to a point where you realize that I'm just not done living.
Amen,
Whoever you
sister.
are out there, you've got this. Trust me, you've got it.
Yes.
You've got
So,
it.
am I hearing you say that positive thinking or manifesting what you want or working on what you want helps you to stay grounded and pressing forward every day
It
in this way
does.
of life?
I have a lot to achieve. I'm not done living.
Yeah.
I think that would be it. I'm
Okay.
just not done living.
So, where do you see yourself in 3 months? If you could look to your future self, where do you see
In
yourself,
3 months,
Mairwynn?
okay, well, in 3 months, I would have gone to my specialized chiropractor because then I'll probably meet the weight requirement for his specialized table. We can attend to whatever happened when I had that fall 10 years ago. And I am hoping that in 3 months, if I'm right, that I won't be using a walking stick anymore anywhere. That would be nice. But if, like I said, if the chiropractor does what I think it's gonna do, it'll probably end up getting rid of that.
Right on for the right on. So, is there anything that you would like to leave in this conversation with maybe a viewer or a listener? Some words of wisdom, just anything that you can leave someone who might just be teetering. It took me 6 months of preparing before I made the leap, right? And I was at my rock bottom. So I totally identify with you. Our rock bottoms show up differently, but I was at my ultimate rock bottom just
Yeah.
5, 6 years ago. So I totally get it. What would you
Do you
say
want
to that person?
do you want the
That's
kind version or do you want the tough love?
I want both if you're willing and you
Okay.
have time to give both.
The tough love is if you're in that well of despair, I see you. All right. I see you. But no one's coming to save you. You're going to have to drag yourself out. We'll just be here at the top of the well and we will just peek in and we'll go, okay, as long as you're all right, you're still there. No one else, because there's not a bucket coming down on the end of a rope coming to get you. You are going to have to drag yourself out of that well. But the thing is, you're going to have to want to. Don't get too comfy. Don't get too comfy because it is comfortable. I've been there. It's nice and comfortable in the darkness, isn't it? It's a trap. It's a trap. That's the tough love version. That's the tough love version. The nice version is you are worth more than you realize. You are enough. You are capable of greatness. You are capable of doing more than you realize. You just have to believe that you can. You just have to believe that you can.
Yes. And until that person or that soul believes that they can, I will believe in them with all the power of my believing until they catch on and believe for themselves, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
it's just a
hard.
universal spirit, just a universal
Yep.
energy. Yes.
And it's hard because when we've all been down in that pit, right? We do know while we're down there that, life is going on. We see the sun go over and we see the moon go over. So the days are passing by, right? Life is going on. You'll get the occasional visitor over the whole going,
Yeah.
we know what it's like down there. We know that we're not going to get the bucket on the end of the rope to drag us out. We know that. But by the same token, for somebody who is out of that well up here, who's out, it is really hard to see people down there when we've been down there ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is really hard. We want to save them, but we can't
Well,
because, this is everybody's journey is their own. You cannot travel somebody else's journey.
and they have to want it, whatever it is, bad enough for themselves to
Yeah.
go out and
What I
and
should
do it.
say,
Yeah.
I'll re-say
Yeah.
it. You cannot navigate somebody else's journey. That's the correct thing. Yeah. You can't. Everybody's journey is their own. You
Even though
can't
everybody's
navigate it for them.
journey is their own, you, me, and the next person are the lights that can guide them out of the darkness if they're willing to come out of the well or out of the
Oh yeah,
darkness and see that there's just glimmers of hope. I used to think that I was the only one. There's a lot of times that where most of my life I've been the only Black person, the only outspoken person, the only person that doesn't take any shit but gives a lot of shit in a
yeah.
room, you know. So I was always very defensive, the only. But I just want to tell that person that's stuck, that's sitting on the couch, you're not the only one. You're
Oh
not
gosh,
the
no.
only one. Please don't wait until you're 45, 50, or 60 to realize that you're not the only one. You can come out of the darkness whenever you're ready.
Yep.
Whenever you're ready.
And we'll be there.
Yeah. So
We'll be there with
Mairwynn,
you.
yes. Speaking of being there, tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your YouTube channel, how you are there, how you are telling off the haters, how you are offering support and energy and all that good stuff. So if you
All
need
those
some
haters.
fire, go to Mairwynn's channel for sure.
Well, I usually finish off my videos. I say, be kind to those around you. Don't take any crap. Protect your peace and be kind to yourself. But last week's, I know there's nothing I can do about the dislikes. I know that, but I don't know whether they've been away on a long weekend, but that is the first video that's not received any dislikes. So I have two theories. Either they're all away on the long Easter weekend, or even they've given up. I don't know. I'm thinking weekend, but you see, the thing is, it's like, everybody has their own. I'm so sick of the haters, and it's they're most of them are just hangry. They need a good feed. I mean, even my father didn't know about the carnivore lifestyle. All these angry people say they need a good feed, they need a good steak. And that was back then in the 70s. What can I tell you? But anyway, my channel, I do a weigh-in on Monday, and that includes the weight measurements of the bust, waist, and hips. I do 4 photographs: face, front, side, and caboose. Well, you got to take pictures from behind so you can see what's going on with the caboose. Got to see, because I can't do that yet. So I do comparison shots. There's always a ramble before I do the comparison shots. And then, midweek I'll do another video, and it can be anything. It can be anything. I've got one like last week, a week before last. I sort of tried to sort of narrow the lanes a little bit for somebody who is probably faced with trying to navigate the many bits of information that's out there of the go-tos of, like, Ken Berry, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, and just list, like the influencers that have great information, like Bella from Steak and Butter Gal, for example, and then the journeys to follow to get I mean, you can get inspiration from all of them, but those journeys. So that's a long one, but all the links are in the description box of all those channels. Like probably this coming week, it's probably going to be me and my husband making the electrolytes. That midweek video is random, but every Monday is weigh-in day. Every Monday.
That is so exciting. And I just love that you are documenting everything. And, if I look back, I really wish that I had a documented mine, right? So I have all these copious notes and whatnot, but I really wish that I had did like you or Amanda and some of the other ones like Midlife Carnivore Lynn and some of the other great ones that are out there. But it is what it is. So I
Yep.
enjoy always staying tuned in to your latest video and whatnot. And folks, I want to tell you, please go over to her channel and support her, subscribe, because she is a true OG. Okay. She's real, a beautiful sense of humor and whatnot. So we could both use your support. So please like and subscribe to my channel as well. And I have to ask you, Miss Mairwynn, this cannot be the first and only time that we connect through virtual space. Please promise me at some point in time when it fits your
Oh,
schedule that you'll come back for another conversation with us.
hells yeah.
Okay.
I'll
'Cause I
be
think we are
there. I
kindred
will be.
spirits for sure.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
Anytime, in a month or so, I'd
Yeah.
love to come back. I would love to.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to close this out, but if you can stay on for just another minute, okay.
Sure.
All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. And like I said, we could both use your support, but make sure that you like, subscribe, follow Mairwynn's content on the Odyssey, the Carnivore Odyssey, the Odyssey Carnivore. To say the name of your channel because I'm mixing it up.
The carnivore of
Carnivore
adventure.
Odyssey. And she's
Yeah.
got great content and she's just actually hilarious. I love her to pieces. All right, guys, till next time, take care of yourselves so that you can go out and take care of others. All right.